Hello, this time we're looking at handling merge conflicts. This is something that you will most likely encounter, and what I've seen many students do is just sort of mess things up, and then one student loses a lot of work and they don't know how to get it back. So let's see what we can do about that. So a conflict happens when two group members work on the same branch. So this is the remote branch and these are the local versions of that. One for the pink group member and a yellow group member, and they both, they update their local branch. They check out the remote branch. Maybe this is the master or it's a different type of branch for a user story, and they want to work together on that user story or whatever. And right, that's my food. Alright, lunch is done. So they're working together on the same branch, and at some point pink group member has pushed something, and the yellow group member also wants to push their changes to the remote repository. But because the remote repository has a version that is newer than the one yellow started from, right, yellow has to first pull that and then sort of put things together and make sure that the code works, and then they can push the changes back up. But maybe they have modified the same part of the code, and Git is unsure how to put the two parts together, the part that I have worked on here, or the yellow person, and the part that comes from up here. Maybe they go into the same place in the one of the class files. So a conflict happens, and Git will tell you, I don't know how to fix this, you must do it manually. So let's see if we can make something happen. Right, I have my IntelliJ open here, both version Pizza Review 1, so this might be the yellow group member, and over here I have my, was it pink group member or whatever, and they're working in the same thing. Currently I just have the master. So, not that button. But it doesn't really matter which branch, as long as we're working in the same one, or somehow need to merge stuff from the same branch. So one guy will say, I don't know, so I need to create a conflict. And usually if I just create two new methods, a new method here and a new method over here, then Git can usually figure out how to fix that. Let's give it a go. Private void test method 1. We'll see if this works. And over here we say private void test method 2. And the end result, when everything is put together, is that I have a method 1 and a method 2 at the same time. So in order to test this out, we have to commit and push from the left side here. Add method 1. Right, commit and push. Yeah, I have a to-do somewhere, a warning. I don't care. Commit and push anyway. And it goes to the master, so that's the one we're working in. Yeah, and then over here, my yellow or pink or whoever, they want to commit this one, so let's give that a go. Add method 2. But now remember, the master branch has been updated to look like this one over here, so that's a step ahead of where we started over here. So when I commit this, commit and push, commit is just to my local repository, but the push is to the remote repository, which is ahead of my own starting point. It will complain and say I need to pull first and then merge. Right, so I basically get whatever is on the left hand side, it goes into my right hand side, and then I can push that back to the remote repository, basically. Right, what we had here, right? And if I remove them, so I need to take this and into here, so I get method 1 from up here and into here, and then I can push it back to the remote repository. So that's what we're aiming for. Okay, commit and push. And I also have a warning, so commit and push anyway. Yeah, to master, we want to push it. And let's see. Okay, so push rejected. Master was remote changes need to be merged before pushing, right? So as I showed, remote changes here, because my yellow branch, my right side knows of this version, but the remote branch is in this version. So I need to merge them into my local branch first, my local version of that branch, my local repository. And again, rebase, I'm not entirely sure, but we want to merge, and this is usually just a fine idea. Let's merge it. We see it's updating down here at the bottom. And either everything works fine, so you get a demonstration of how Git is usually pretty good at putting things together, or we actually get the problem that we're aiming for. So either way, things will be good. Okay, so that seems to work. Git found out there was a method here, right? So I have everything together. So creating conflicts, you really have to modify pretty close to the same part of the code. So let's try this one instead. Update review, I call it change review, and over here I want to call it remove review. So these two are pretty close to each other, but just changed a line, so I don't really know, maybe this is not even enough. So it's updating, right, refreshing. Okay, commit, change option naming, commit and push. Right, so again, check failed, and I have to push it, and I will have to merge it first, right, the pull to merge. Let's give that a go. Okay, I'll just start by, no, let's do this one. Change option renaming. Commit and push. I get that warning thing, but I want to push anyway. Yeah, commit and push, and it's working down here. And we get that message saying that because I had pushed my changes from the left hand side, so I need to get those back in. And let's see. Okay, so I actually made a merge conflict. You can see it says down here that I have two different versions. The update review and the remove review, that's my own. And the change review and delete review, that comes from over here. And Git could not figure out which one of these do I actually want. So I can either say accept theirs, and then whatever is over here will just come into mine, and that means I lose my local changes. So this is accept incoming from remote repository and override your own stuff and potentially delete your work. This one says accept yours, meaning that we reject the incoming, so whoever made the changes over to the left, their changes will just be rejected, and I only keep my own changes, and then I push that, and that means they lose their work, the left hand person here, which is pretty annoying because you know may have to redo it if you don't know how to look up the history. So I have seen groups really wade all over each other's feet because they just did this all the time. One person worked in the evening and the other person worked in the morning, so they would just override each other's code over and over. Super annoying, and they didn't get anywhere. So the final result, or the option, is to actually merge it. I want to take something of mine and something of theirs because both had updates that we want to keep, right? I had the change review and I have the remove review, and I want to get rid of update and delete. So we merge and let's see, usually I feel like this looked different, but I should get a window where I can edit the two. Let's see what happens. Okay, wonderful. This is the window I was aiming for. So I have my version of on the left hand side. This is what I have locally. I have the incoming version on the right hand side. You can see change, review and delete. So that's the right, well, it doesn't really match now, but my local version and incoming version, and this is the final resulting version. So I can sort of click here and say, what do I want to keep? I wanted it to be called change and remove, right? This is what I change and remove. That's what I want it to be called. If I just click this button, it will take everything from over here. If I click this button, it will just take everything from over here and move in. So that's not really what we want. Let's see what happens. Update and remove. Okay. And this one. Okay, so that doesn't really work. I want it to be called changed. So I just remove this line of code here. And I want it to be called remove instead of delete, like this. Okay. So add, change, remove, and see reviews. That's good. So this is my final result. I've taken some updates from my local version. I've taken some updates from the incoming version, and I have made the new combined result here. And when I click apply, my local version will look like this. So let's give it a go. Okay, there we go. So that middle view, I had my own on the left and the incoming on the right, and then the middle view I could just edit that as I felt like. So this is now the final result. Some push was rejected. Yeah, that's good. And change and remove is the new stuff. So I feel like I should be able to. Maybe it already pushed. I'm actually not entirely sure, because I applied the fix when I wanted to push. So my click on the push button made a pull, and then a merge, and then a fix merge, and then a commit, and then a push, I guess, sort of was the order of things. So it doesn't find any changes. So let's just check out the GitHub. And what do I have on GitHub? I have, let's refresh everything, and we just verify that the master looks as we expect it to. So let's really hope this worked. Change and delete. No. Okay, so I have made the merge. Let's push it. Let's see if there's anything to push. Feels a bit icky to me, but maybe I can push something without being a commit. It's pushing, so there must be something to push. I think this is probably more clear if you use the command line interface. Okay, let's refresh. What do we have? Change and remove. Okay, so that's what we were aiming for, right? Change and remove. So apparently, I mean, I have learned that I can push these merge conflict resolutions or resolves, and I can push if I make a new branch, even though it's not a commit. But it's a bit annoying that it doesn't show up in what I want to push, so that's inconvenient, but okay. But that's the merge conflict. I mean, if you modify the same code in on two different computers or two different projects, and you try to put that together, sometimes Git will not be sure how to mix the things, and it will show you that edit window. If you do it through the command line interface, you just get that part with the with the equal signs and the head, and like you saw in the code, and then you have to open the file and resolve and so on. So that's a bit more work involved. I really like that pop-up window for the merge conflict fixing. Okay, it was a pretty simple conflict, but I mean, if you have more conflicts, as they are larger, you just scroll through that merge fixing window, and you fix each of them so that the middle part of your code looks as you want it to. And that should be about it for merge conflicts, at least to get you started, and then you can, you know, work on larger problems if you encounter those yourself. So, as always, thank you for watching, and see you in the next part. I think that's about revision history and reverting back to previous versions, I think. Maybe. Anyway,